Today's episode, we're going to be breaking down all the ins and outs of the Bulls' loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They snapped the Bulls' 2-game winning streak. What's next for the Bulls? We'll get into all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, the Bulls lose this game. A lot of mistakes down the stretch of this game. DeMar DeRozan decided to foul SGA on the three-point line after he had defended him pretty well that whole possession. And then just a terrible shot selection by DeMar down in the stretch of the game. Also, forced Patrick Williams to get an offensive foul by moving too long after he called for the screen, didn't let Pat set up for the screen. But this wasn't all on DeMar DeRozan. Zach LaVine was terrible in the second half yet again, outside of a little bit of a stretch in the fourth quarter. But yeah, how did you feel about this game?
I surprisingly enough, right? I thought the players did good enough to win the game. I do think that again, right, DeMar made some crucial mistakes in that fourth quarter that get you in a tie game situation. I thought that Zach LaVine had a nice fourth quarter where he put you in a position to win. I am baffled by the game plan of this team as a whole. You started off your game dominating the Oklahoma City Thunder in the paint. You continued to dominate Oklahoma City with Vooch anytime Vooch got the ball down low. You don't go to you don't go to Andre Drummond in this game except for 6 minutes. There's nobody on the Oklahoma City Thunder that weighs more than either of the people that are a part of this podcast. Maybe Lou Dort. Lou Dort might legit be their heaviest player. And your game plan was, I'm not going to attack in the paint. To me, and while I do think, right, there are some crucial things that we can look at from the player side of things that are some issues. This, outside of all the games that we've seen, was the worst game plan I've ever seen put together by Billy Donovan. They just didn't attack a clear advantage. And it's something we've seen them do in the last 2 games where they've consistently attacked their clear advantage. Versus Boston, clear advantage, big man, inside, going to use that. Versus Milwaukee.
Nikola Vucevic outweighs the Thunder starting center Poku by 70 pounds, bro.
I don't get
70.
There's no like, we can break down players, we can break down, and we're going to do all of that. But this tonight, Billy Donovan, there's no explanation for this. Because you have 2 big men that could dominate them.
This is true.
Andre Drummond could have dominated Pokusevski. Pokusevski couldn't figure out how to move Patrick Williams.
This is very true.
Like, come on, dog. We got to be better. We have to be smarter than this. And tonight was the worst game plan I've seen implemented by the Chicago Bulls all season.
So, in talking about the game plan, I know you've been a pretty solid Billy Donovan defender when people have come pretty hard against him. Now you have rightfully critiqued him where it needs to be. So I don't want to make it seem like you're a Billy Donovan apologist, because you're not. But with that being said, like, this type of performance from Billy Donovan, right? This type of coaching from Billy Donovan. Not that we see it at this bad that often, but it gets bad sometimes. The adjustments, again, terrible adjustments. It really didn't seem like that last play by DeMar, which was a bad shot, that there was any type of play drawn up. Like, it was just a really weird situation. What was the most egregious thing to you in this game from Billy Donovan?
I mean, outside of basically just not going to your big man when Nikola Vucevic was cooking everybody, not putting Patrick Williams back in the game, and it's been consistent. The DJJ. Now, DJJ came in and played well, right? Played okay defensively, made a couple of DJJ. Patrick Williams played 32 minutes tonight because of the overtime. But Patrick Williams, again, showing you that he's one of your best defenders on the floor, showing you that when you put the ball in his hands, he can score. And I'm going to be honest with you, at this point, right, Billy Donovan's holding back P. Will. That's crazy to say. Billy Donovan is holding back P. Will. He's just not throwing him out there.
Somebody asked, and when I was live streaming over at Central, they asked this: would the Bulls be a better team without DeMar? And while I don't think they'd be a better team without DeMar, but just because of how talented he is, I do think that we'd see a completely different Patrick Williams as far as having the ball in his hands, and Vooch if it wasn't for DeMar. And the point that you made of Billy Donovan holding Patrick Williams back, I agree with wholeheartedly. Like, not that, when people at the beginning of the season were saying, "Oh, well, we need to have Patrick Williams come off the bench so he can run that second unit." He doesn't need to come off the bench now with that. There are absolutely times in which you can have Patrick Williams out there with Goran, especially with the way Goran passes and shoots the ball himself with Andre Drummond, that how many minutes have we seen Patrick Williams play with Andre Drummond? I don't feel like it's been that many.
I can't remember a time where Patrick Williams was on the court with Andre Drummond, so I'm gonna say not that many.
Like you were one of the things that we've always said, and I went over the stats in the offseason. When Patrick Williams has the ball in his hand, gets double-digit shot attempts, he averages 18, 6, and 4.
Yeah.
Why at this? I get it. Yes, he started off the season questionable. He started off the season regressing some defensively. All that. Patrick Williams is the best defender on the Chicago Bulls. That is healthy right now. There's a conversation to be made about Luol Deng. Why do we keep? I mean, Lonzo Ball. Wow, Lonzo Ball.
That was about the same amount of time. Hey, he took it back on us. I'm like, Luol Deng. What the heck's Luol got to do with this? Why Luol take his praise?
But Patrick Williams just. Like the passive P moniker, all that, almost everything that we critique Patrick Williams about at the start of the season is all but gone. He was 100% from the three-point line. He's shooting 50% from three-point for the season.
Hand in the face threes too.
Put the ball in this man's hands, bro.
I don't. There's two things that I question coming into this season, or coming into out of this game, I should say, not coming out of this game. And it's things that we've seen the last three games. Why aren't we going to P. Will down the stretch?
Uh-huh.
Why aren't we, utilizing him in these big moments? And why are we going so hard on Alex Caruso? Because that's the guy who's getting P. Will's minutes. That's the guy who's getting the job to guard the best player on the court. Not to say Caruso's been bad.
Yeah.
And I think in this game, it makes a little more sense because you got actual guards.
And they did bench Io for Caruso this game to have Patrick Williams come in there a little bit more. Patrick Williams still on the bench too much, in my opinion, in the second half of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter. But I get it. Like, Billy Donovan is absolutely – like some coaches just have their guy. It just seems like Billy Donovan's just in love with Caruso. Like, I don't know how many times you have to see him get cooked by players with length before you realize, hey – yeah, Caruso, you're a great defender, but this guy has way more length than you. We got this guy over here named Patrick Williams who's 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan. Let's go ahead and try him on the long player.
And I think the biggest thing for me on it is, right, like tonight I can kind of see a little bit more going with Caruso in this situation. But in that situation, right, you want to go with that small ball lineup, which Billy Donovan likes to go to. Patrick Williams needs to be your 5. He's heavier and stronger than legitimately everybody on that team. Put him out there, allow his defense to show, and allow him to be able to get there. There's no rhyme or reason. And I'm not saying, right, Patrick Williams not playing more is the reason we lost this game. I think the reason we lost this game is not going to Vooch played 40 minutes. He's got 13 and 13. 6 for 14 from the field. 1 for 7 from the three-point line. What the heck is he doing on the three-point line? Put him down low. And to me, right, there seems to be this. These are the guys on our team that are the guys that have gotten us the big shots, that are the guys that have gotten us in these big moments. And so we have to ride with these guys. And it's not, I'm going to go with what gives us the best chance to win night in, night out. I think when Billy Donovan benched Zach LaVine in the Orlando game, he was going to try and give the Bulls the best chance to win. And in the Boston game, he put a lineup out there that was giving the Bulls the best chance to win. Mm-hmm. Tonight he didn't. And I feel like more times than not, we've seen him try to go with, okay, I'm just going to let DeMar cook, or I'm just going to let Zach shoot, or I'm going to let these guys, because those are the guys that make the money on the team. And it's not Nikola Vucevic has a clear advantage and he needs to be dominating every play.
Yeah.
Do
You
we got three
outweighed
stars
your
or not?
opposition by 70 pounds, bro.
And he shot 7 3-pointers.
Come on, fam.
He shot 7 3-pointers. And I'm not saying, right, like, here's the thing. I'm not even saying don't shoot the threes. But if the three ain't falling, we need to run an offense that doesn't just throw Vooch on the three-point line. Again, I've said this a million times. The Bulls, when they get in their struggle moments, like to go with what is comfortable. And Billy Donovan is no difference. What's comfortable for Billy is Vooch on the three-point line.
Got to work on that. We're going to continue talking about the game, but first I got to talk to you guys about ExpressVPN. So we all know how ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online, right? But here's something you may not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. Maybe you run into stuff to watch on Netflix. This will change your world. ExpressVPN allows you to binge The Office on UK Netflix. It's simple to do. Just sign in to Netflix, fire up ExpressVPN app, change my location to the UK, refresh Netflix, and that's it. ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can choose from almost 100 different countries, so just imagine all the Netflix libraries you can go through. Love Korean dramas? Use ExpressVPN to parasite off South Korea Netflix with your Netflix subscription. But it's not just Netflix. ExpressVPN works with any streaming service: Hulu, BBC, iPlayer, YouTube, you name it. There are hundreds of VPNs out there, but the reason I use ExpressVPN is to watch shows is because it's ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering or lag, and you can stream in HD no problem. ExpressVPN also works on all your devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more, so you can watch what you want when you want. So if you want to access the hundreds of new shows, go to expressvpn.com/lockedon right now and get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/lockedon. expressvpn.com/lockedon to learn more.
We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insight that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Pat. So the Bulls have the Utah Jazz coming up on Monday. So we have 2 days off. Hopefully that means we're not going to come out ass flat in this game. But we want to continue talking. We talked about Patrick Williams. We talked about DeMar DeRozan. We talked a little bit about Vooch. We did not talk about Zach LaVine too much yet. What do you think about the performance from Zach LaVine?
You know what? And me and Kid had this conversation during the game. Zach is impacting the game in ways that people aren't used to seeing him impacted. And I give Zach LaVine credit for doing things outside. The thing we killed Kobe White for is not the fact that Kobe White doesn't knock down shots. It's the fact that he doesn't knock down shots and does nothing else on the court. Mm-hmm. Zach LaVine is doing a lot of other things on the court. I feel like Zach LaVine has upped his defense this season. When he's been put in that position to play defense, I thought he's played okay. I'm not going to say he's played great this season, but he's played better than we've seen him play most of his career. I think Zach LaVine's court vision this season has been a lot better. I think the shot selection is the most poor thing that we've seen, right? He loves that step back three with a hand in his face. Sometimes he likes to pump fake and wait for a guy to step up to pull the jump shot. And I don't think that that's the recipe for success. I think he needs to realize when he needs to go to the basket more. But Zach LaVine tonight was our best player in the fourth quarter, 27, 5 and 5. He had a steal tonight, 9 for 23 from the field. Didn't shoot it well. 4 turnovers on the day, right? Like there were still some issues. There's still some things in that game that I'm looking at, and I'm saying that does not look great. But at the end of the day, I'm not looking at Zach LaVine as a useless player on the court. I feel like he's played better in a lot of situations, and the scoring numbers just haven't been what we've expected them to be. And so a lot of people want to go at Zach. But, 45 minutes tonight, he definitely had an impact on the court. Found P. Will again for a couple of open shots, a couple of nice dimes. And I think the thing is that, right, like we've seen Zach LaVine get the scoring together. So if you're giving me everything else, that means that eventually your scoring is going to come. I can live with that. The parts that I can't live with some of the players on this team is if the scoring's not coming, what are you providing for me? And if it's poor defense, if it's poor closeout, if it's poor, different things like that, even all the way up to DeMar, we've seen those things, right? Like if DeMar's 12 for 27 for 30 points tonight, that's not a good night. How'd you do defensively? Well, you had a couple of defensive plays that absolutely put us in a hole. You know what I mean? So I think that's the part where I'm looking at with Zach, where I'm saying he's impacting the game positively in other areas. And I know that Zach LaVine can score the basketball. So I'm waiting for that. I do think he's starting the season off with a heck of a shooting slump. But I know that Zach LaVine can score the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we expect Zach, the efficiency, to come back at some point. Definitely think that. But it's and he is doing other things. Like I keep saying, he's having one of the better defensive seasons of his career. He's passing the ball better outside. There's some entry passes that Zach LaVine makes, some attempts at wraparound passes. I'm just like, hey, bro, that's not your ministry. That's not your ministry. Don't do that.
But then he does that same pass, like the next play down, and you're like, nice pass.
But yeah, so he just got to get some of that together. But at the end of the day, it's this, right, with Zach, is that I do think he's going to work his way out of this slump. It's been a rough first, what are we at, 19 games into the season. But damn, we're almost at 20 games on the season. But
yeah, we're to the point now where I'm like, all right, should we start panicking? Like I said 20 games, legit. 20 games. By 20 games, I should know what you are.
Yeah, I've always said this. I'm giving it to the end of this road stretch. Wherever we are at this, if we can work ourselves and come out and be at 500 or hopefully above, it leaves a lot. But if we, God forbid, if we get cooked, oh yeah, at that point you got to recognize what it is, bro. Yeah. You just got to recognize what it is.
And I think the big thing here, right, talking about Zach LaVine, is that, again, right, like, how is he going to react? And I know everybody in here, right, wants to say, oh, it's so he got the money and now he's not trying as much. He got the money and now he's not playing as well. The same shots that we laud Zach LaVine for knocking down in the first quarter, we bash him for taking in the fourth quarter. And I'm not that guy, right? I'm not the guy that's going to sit there and be like, man, that was a crazy shot. He had a step back three in the face of Pokashevsky in quarter number 3. Great shot. And then in the fourth quarter, when he takes that same shot and doesn't knock it down, I've got fire for him. I think that Zach he's just got to find his groove offensively, and he's got to find that groove. And I think the Bulls as a whole have to, right? Like when you look at this Bulls team tonight versus an OKC team that, again, cannot measure up to you. I mean, who do we get to where they've got a player that's heavier than? Do they have a player heavier than DeMar? Maybe. But you're talking about Vooch, P. Will. Maybe until Drummond. You get the Zach LaVine, you've got somebody heavier than him. Maybe. Lou Dort might be heavier than Zach LaVine is. But outside of that, you should have dominated this team. And the Bulls just haven't found their groove consistently attacking the weakness of the other team. And I think you're not going to be a Eastern Conference final team, a championship level team, right? Until you figure that out. You know what the Warriors do great? They attack the weakness of every team. They've also got a great asset that attacks every team's weakness, which is I can just shoot it further back than you. But the best teams in the NBA, they continue to attack. They continue. Listen, the Boston Celtics can come out and beat most of these teams because they are able to continue to attack the biggest weakness of the other team. The Bulls have not gotten to that point yet.
Well, yeah, I agree. They have to get to a consistent part. I know it's going to take a lot of effort, and somebody made the comment over in Central, like they came out flat, because of the energy that they have to expound in the last two. At the end of the day, yeah, that's all valid, right? And it happens. You do have to expound a lot of energy to keep up the intensity. But listen, this is the NBA. We talked about how good our bench is. The bench didn't support us too well in this.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Javonte, marginal. Derek Jones Jr. had some good possessions, but okay. Like outside of Caruso, another 4 for 5 shooting night from him. But other than that, it's a lot of bad shooting from the bench.
And I will say this as a caveat, right? And again, another reason why you absolutely need to be going Andre Drummond here. Javonte Green playing through a back contusion. Goran Dragic coming off of an injury, right? Trying to work himself back in a little bit slower. Goran Dragic's 36 years old. You don't just come back from an injury. Like, well, give me some time. Let me breathe a little bit. Andre Drummond needs to be playing more than 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Like that. There's no excuse for that. To me, this is again, and I get right in the time he was on the court, he was not good. I think he was like a -11 plus minus, something like that. But you know that Andre Drummond is bigger than everybody out there. In 7 minutes, he gave you 4 and 4. Put him out there.
They should have played Tony Bradley.
That was the key. We didn't get a Tony Bradley pep talk, man. We didn't get that Tony Bradley pep talk, man.
Tony Bradley would have came in, hit 4 threes, would have sealed the game.
Tony Bradley would have had 7 blocks in that game alone over Pokashevsky, who Tony Bradley also weighs more than. Speaking of blocks, man, before we get into this final topic, we do got to tell you guys, you like how I transitioned that one right there?
That was good. That was good. I like how you did that.
We also got to tell you guys about Sweat Block, man. Here's the thing. When it comes to being sweaty in public, pit stains, all of that, right? When you start to see your friends talk like this with their hands because they don't want to, you know what's going on. They're embarrassed because of the sweat stains under their shirt. Let me tell you about my friend Jennifer here. She used to wear multiple shirts and fold toilet paper in her armpits to try and hide the embarrassing sweat stains. But here's the thing, not anymore. Since she started using Sweat Block, Jennifer was able to fix her problem with Sweat Block. The Sweat Block wipes have been the best seller on Amazon for the past 10 years with over 10K 5-star reviews. Don't miss the opportunity to try Sweat Block. If you or someone you love is experiencing sweat or odor, try Sweat Block. Save 20% with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. It's also available over on Amazon. I'll tell you what, I'm somebody who is a user of Sweat Block now, and it's Dikembe Mutombo down there. I mean, what do you? No. You know what I mean? It's Dikembe. I'm not gonna hate on it. Sweat Block's doing great things out here for me, man. A lot of wasted sweatshirts out here. They call it a sweatshirt for a reason. Somebody told me. Nah, you don't want to look like that. You don't want to be.
I'll tell you what. Right now, if you take a Sweat Block wipe and just wipe it across Cristiano Felicio's forehead, he'll disappear. He's 90% sweat. He's 90% sweat. He will stop existing on this earth.
Maybe Patrick Williams too, bro. He had the beard sweat dripping heavy in this mug, man. He's working out here, and Billy won't.
He was working. All right, Pat. We got next week. We got 4 games next week. 4 games out of 7 days next week. Nice stretch for the Chicago Bulls as they look to finish up this road stretch all next week.
Yep.
What are you looking for? How do you think the Bulls come out of this road stretch, bro?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they'll play better than we Like it's wild because I love Steve on the chat. I just see his comment. I was just like, we are. It's wild because there seems to be this consistency of playing to the competition, and maybe that is taking nights off. Maybe that is. I've also said that OKC's a better team than OKC's record is not the OKC team that it is. But I think the Bulls will play well. Seeing how they played against Boston, seeing how they played against Milwaukee, right? Like, I mean, the Bulls. Can we say tonight there were a ton of defensive mishaps?
Yes.
Can we?
Oh,
I don't know if I saw a ton of defense. I mean, we saw him from the same person. DeMar was continuously getting cooked, but that's DeMar. Like, DeMar continues to always get cooked. He's not a good defender. Outside of DeMar, though, right?
Patrick Williams played a really good on-ball defensive day, but there's some things in pick and roll that P. Will did too, where he did not help. Like, there was some, and maybe in my mind's blown those up because I'm still frustrated about the loss. But there were some defensive things in the game today that I was just like, all right, man, what y'all do?
I feel like there was just nobody to stop Shea. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like the Bulls played a horrible game defensively.
The Josh Giddey 8-point stretch was a bad look, bro.
Who was guarding Giddey on that?
That was
DeMar was guarding him, wasn't he?
That was between Caruso and DeMar on that.
Yeah, again, DeMar.
Yeah,
like,
DeMar. I get what you're
Caruso
saying.
passing people off to DeMar, and DeMar just like, yeah, that happens. Like, literally, like, you think about the last shot that SGA put up.
Bro,
I
have never been so frustrated on a foul in my life, bro, because, like, there was no reason you should have fouled him, bro.
Well, not even that. I'm talking about literally the last shot that could have won the game for OKC. Like, again, poor defense by DeMar in that situation. But I thought Billy Donovan actually called up a really good play there, right? SGA SGA
22
left
seconds.
side usually pulls up on a jump shot. You took away the left side. Caruso's on the left side. DeMar comes up to play up. SGA is going to get past him, but you know he's going to take a floater because he's going right. You put your 7-footer down there, tell him put his arms up, be as big as you can, jump in the air. If he knocks down a floater over you, he gets a floater over you. I thought that was a really good called defensive play. I thought that a lot of the things that put you in that position are DeMar being a really, really bad defender. And even the lineup that Billy put out there, right? Like that's a respect lineup that was out there. Yeah. There's no way Zach LaVine should have been in on that final play. There's no way DeMar DeRozan should have been on that final play defensively.
This was a frustrating loss, bro.
It's a frustrating loss, but I don't think that we're at the Denver loss level, right? I don't think that we're at the.
No, we're not.
I'm not. I don't feel like we're there. I feel like the Bulls have actually gotten themselves in a better place with more consistency. OKC outplays you tonight. Guess what? OKC's beaten the Clippers twice this year. OKC's beaten the Raptors. OKC is a young team that will make enough mistakes to absolutely keep you in the game in the fourth quarter.
For sure.
But they're not a bad basketball team. They definitely are underweight, but they're not a bad basketball team. I think they're just really, really young. And so I think as you continue on this road trip here, right, like you'll see the Bulls kind of play up to more of the competition. I think they'll come out with more of a fight. I think you'll see Zach LaVine absolutely come out with more of a fight versus the Utah Jazz because Larry Markin is there. And my biggest question as we continue through this road trip is going to be, when are you going to let P. Will be P. Will?
It's funny. So we go on the we face Utah, Phoenix, Golden State, and Sacramento. The only team in that stretch that is under 500 is the one I'm most afraid of. That's the Golden State Warriors, which is wild.
Yeah, no, I'm still worried about Golden State.
That's what I'm saying. The most afraid I am of them. But so out of this next 4 games, Utah, Phoenix, Golden State, Sacramento, how do you see the Bulls coming out on the other side of this stretch?
I think we never beat Sacramento, so I do think we lose to Sacramento. I think that we beat Utah. Who else you said? You said Golden State and
Phoenix.
I think we 2-2. I think we beat Utah. I think we beat Golden State. I think we lose to Sacramento and we lose to Phoenix.
So we come out of this 10-13. How do you feel about what does that do for you on the Bulls?
Doesn't change anything. I've said, right, like to me, the thing with the Bulls that I want to see is by the All-Star break, you have to be around 500. Because I do think that there is an understanding from this Bulls team that, hey, the beginning of the season does not matter. If we're around 500, we can make our move in the second half of the season. The beginning of the season just doesn't matter. But I also think that you have to be around 500 for that game plan to work out. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be 10 games under 500 and think we're going to get to the playoffs and not be in the play-in by the end of this. Like you just can't think that. So there still has to be some of a, we're going to step up and we're going to step up against these big teams, these big games. And I'm going to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I'd rather see that, right? Like, I can't specifically call out a team off the top of my head, but like how many teams have we seen over history? Well, like, yeah, they lose to some subpar teams, but they beat the good teams. You're going to play the good teams in the playoffs. Those are the teams that I'm most worried about you beating. These losses just suck.
The thing that's crazy about this Bulls team, they could win against anybody and they could lose against absolutely anybody.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing too. And I think we're so focused, of course, right? Locked on Bulls. You're Chicago Bulls Central. I'm the Windy City Breeze. We're draped out Bulls head to toe right now.
Literally, I got on some fire ass Michael Jordan socks. But keep it going.
You got a dude on your feet. Never mind.
Always gotta go places with it, Matt. Go ahead, keep it going.
No, I think the thing that we actually need to take a step back and look at is how the rest of the NBA is playing against the rest of the NBA. And because I do Locked On NBA, I kind of get to see that, right? I get to see OKC have games where you're looking at them and you're like, bro, they're not that bad of a team. Like I wasn't coming into this game thinking, oh, the Bulls are gonna cook them. I was like, this is a team that you can get up big on and you can break their spirit if you continue to play hard on. but they've come back from just about every game this season. The Mavs, if you look at them, they have lost to the Nuggets. I want to say they've lost to Phoenix, and they have lost to Utah when literally nobody was playing. They lost to a Nuggets team that was basically the KCP Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I look at the rest of the league, I think the league is, like a lot of people have said, right? The league is just better, and anybody can beat you on any given night. How do you play against the best of the best? And weirdly enough, the Bulls have a good record against the best of the best.
Yeah.
The Bulls' struggles come against teams under 500. I believe we're 1-5 now against
2-6 now.
2-6 now against teams under 500. I don't know.
That's tough. Bro.
I don't know.
Tough. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes for the Bulls. Pat, you got anything left, brother?
I got nothing, man. I got nothing. We both got post-game shows on our personal channels. Make sure to check those out just to hear our own rants as well. And follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. I've kind of taken a chill kind of weekend here, so you haven't seen as many tweets from me, but
which is better for society and human.
Listen,
because that last one you tweeted,
I should call her tweets,
bro.
They're
you know what's
great.
so funny? You know what's so funny? It was 3:00 in the morning. I randomly woke up to walk the dog. And, of course, I'm walking the dog. I open my phone. As soon as I open up Twitter, it was just that tweet. I said, boy, this boy is tripping. I can't even text him right now to tell him he's tripping. I've
got like 4 or 5 of those, bro. And every time, this is just my sister Deja just like, hey, bro, you have been a repeat offender on this. What's going on over there? Hey, bro, it's just funny to me. It cracks me up.
That's hilarious, bro.
Follow me over on Twitter, man. I should call him.
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me over on every social media platform at CEO Haize. Now, thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. Now for your next listen, check on Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls, and you should have called her. Peace out.
I should have called her. Yeah. Is the weird after that?
They can still hear you, brother.
I know they can.